Have you ever noticed how anxiety sometimes seems like a weed that, without anyone noticing, starts to spread through our garden? Suddenly, it's there, in the middle of our afternoons, taking away the peace and quiet of our coffee, disturbing our sleep, and filling our heads with noisy thoughts. But what if I told you that this invader can be controlled with gestures as simple as watering a flower? Today, you'll discover how small daily changes can transform anxiety without relying on medicine or magic formulas. In this video, I promise to show you practical and accessible ways to regain peace of mind. No matter how many birthdays you've celebrated, it's possible to wake up without that tension in your shoulders or your heart racing in the morning. You'll understand why anxiety isn't just a youth thing and how to truly cultivate well-being every day. This topic is crucial for those who are 60 or older. Do you know why? Because many people believe that feeling anxious, sleeping poorly, and being irritable is normal after a certain age. But it doesn't have to be that way. Don't accept sleepless nights as if they were part of the package of maturity. If you remember the time when the telephone was rotary and we needed patience even to wait for the call to connect, you already know. Changes take time, but they are possible, and they are always worth it. Anxiety, when it sets in, starts slowly. First, a worry here, another there. Then, it seems like your thoughts never take a vacation. According to data from the WHO, more than 20% of elderly people suffer from symptoms of anxiety, but few seek alternatives other than medication. That's a lot of people losing nights of sleep over something that can be taken care of with simple daily actions. Let's take a breath together. Exhale slowly. Feel your shoulders relax. That's the first step. Imagine your mind as a garden. If you don't take care of it, weeds will take over. But with daily watering and a good dose of patience, the flowers will appear again. And just as in the old days, people used to make chamomile tea to calm the heart, wisdom lies in the simple things. Anxiety doesn't have to be a permanent guest. Now, let's discover together how to transform this indoor garden step by step with actions within your reach. But is this constant discomfort really just a natural consequence of the weather? Think about Carlos, for example. He was always an active man. He liked to chat with his neighbors and take care of the plants on the balcony. In the last few months, however, something changed. Carlos started to feel tight in the chest when he woke up. His hands were sweaty even on cold days, and a restlessness that wouldn't leave him alone. The smell of freshly brewed coffee, which used to be a sign of a peaceful morning, now seemed to aggravate his anxiety. And what about the nights? Instead of rest, he was overcome by racing thoughts, a parade of petty worries that stole his sleep and his willingness to enjoy the small pleasures of the day. Anxiety, silent and persistent, began to infiltrate every gesture, turning simple tasks into an unexpected challenge. This feeling of restlessness, which many prefer to ignore, has a name and can be dealt with. Anxiety, a well-known word, but often underestimated. In simple terms, it is a state of exaggerated alertness of the body and mind, as if we were always expecting something bad to happen. Pause. This does not mean weakness or lack of control. It is a natural response, but it lasts longer than necessary. And, as Carlos's story shows, it does not choose a time or place to appear. According to recent data, around 20% of Brazilians over 60 years of age report intense symptoms of anxiety. That's 1 in 5. Does it seem like a lot? Imagine 5 friends talking in a square. One of them is probably fighting this silent battle. The impact goes beyond emotional discomfort. Anxiety can affect memory, harm sleep, increase body aches, and even hinder digestion. No one deserves it, right? And yet, Many still believe that feeling this way is the new normal of maturity. Do we really need to accept this idea? After all, who said that, with time, all that's left is to collect worries? Have you ever stopped to think about how many times well-being has been put on the back burner while we worried about everything around us? Maybe it's time to remember those days when the biggest challenge was balancing a spoonful of dulce de leche without spilling it, and have a good laugh about the stumble instead of losing sleep over it. The truth is that there is a way to regain lightness, and it may be simpler than it seems. Have you ever heard that story that, as we get older, we completely lose the ability to learn new things? This belief is as common as finding a dry leaf in the garden after a windy day. But is it really true that the mature mind is infertile soil, incapable of receiving new seeds? In fact, our brain has a skill called neuroplasticity, which is nothing more than the ability to create new connections. Think of it like moving seedlings around. Even soil that has already been used can flourish again, as long as it is cared for and stimulated. Simple studies show that people over 60 continue to learn languages, instruments, and even new technologies when they expose themselves to different experiences, even if it is just trying a new route on their daily walk. Antonio, for example, had never used a cell phone, but with patience and curiosity, he learned to video chat with his grandchildren. The smile of someone who discovers a new bud is like the unexpected flower that blooms after the rain. Many are surprised to discover that loneliness is seen as an inevitable companion in old age. But this is a half-truth that, if not uprooted, can take over the entire garden. Connecting with others activates brain areas linked to well-being, a process called social synapses, which is nothing more than exchanging energy and affection, just like what happens when we exchange seedlings between neighbors. A recent survey showed that elderly people who participate in groups, whether reading or walking, have much lower levels of anxiety. Isabel, for example, started attending embroidery meetings on her street, and in addition to making new friends, she noticed that she slept better and felt less irritable. Small interactions are like fertilizing the soil. We don't always see immediate results, but little by little everything becomes more alive. Contrary to what people generally think, you don't have to wait for anxiety to become a jungle to start taking care of yourself. The simple act of recognizing these myths already prepares the ground for change. Now, a question. Have you ever found yourself doubting your own ability to try something new or felt like you were unnecessarily isolated? Share here in the comments a time when you overcame one of these barriers, no matter how small it may seem. After all, each story is a sprout that inspires other gardeners. If these reflections are making sense to you, take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel and leave your like, so that our community can flourish even more. Take a deep breath, smell the garden we are cultivating together. In the next section, we will talk about practical tools to keep anxiety under control without needing to resort to fancy recipes. What if your anxiety were just another weed, easy to pull out with the right hands? If anxiety is a weed that insists on coming back, have you ever thought about trying small daily prunings instead of waiting for big changes? For example, many people have rediscovered the value of creating small rituals before going to sleep. Contrary to what you might think, it doesn't have to be complicated. A chamomile tea, prepared with 1 tablespoon of dried flower for each cup of boiling water, can be a gentle invitation to relax. Just pour the hot water over the flowers, cover and wait 5 minutes. Strain, let it cool a little, and drink slowly, inhaling the soft aroma that already begins to calm your thoughts. For those who wake up during the night, one tip is to keep the tea in a thermos at the bedside. That way, the pause to serve yourself becomes a moment of self-care. What if you tried to transform a simple walk into a ritual of connection, not only with your body, but also with the environment? During breakfast, set a reminder on your cell phone. Today, 10 minutes just for me. Get out of the house, pay attention to the sound of the birds, the smell of the wet earth after the rain, the path of the ants. Walking like this, with presence, is like loosening the soil in the garden. It makes the roots stronger. The difference is noticeable. Those who adopt this habit report less muscle tension and more mental clarity. One trick to keeping the commitment is to arrange with someone, be it a neighbor or a grandchild, and turn the walk into a conversation. After all, company can be as invigorating as exercise. Among so many methods, reflective writing is a powerful fertilizer that many neglect. By writing down, every night, 3 situations from the day that brought joy or relief, even if small, you allow your brain to record what flourished instead of just the weeds. Get a notebook and set aside 5 minutes before going to bed. Write without worrying about pretty phrases. The important thing is to note what brought a smile, a sigh of relief, an unexpected laugh. Over time, this record becomes a secret garden, a source of cheer on cloudy days. Helena appeared in the midst of this cultivation. She was afraid to go out alone, her chest tightening just thinking about the street. However, after trying short walks and writing at night, Helena noticed, one morning, the scent of coffee being prepared with more lightness. For the first time in months, she felt like she was in control of her own steps. Not every seedling takes hold right away, but the important thing is to keep planting. If you have already tried any of these practices, how about telling us in the comments how your harvest went? Sometimes adapting new habits is like changing pots. It takes work, but it can yield surprising flowers. In addition to the small changes we've already explored, there are other simple solutions that can flourish in your wellness garden. One of them is the practice of conscious breathing, which can be done anywhere, at any time. Simply sit comfortably, close your eyes, and inhale deeply through your nose, counting to 4. Hold the air for 2 seconds and exhale slowly through your mouth, counting to 6. Repeating this cycle for 5 minutes can calm your mind and reduce feelings of anxiety, especially in those moments when your heart starts racing without warning. Another valuable alternative is connecting with nature, even if it's just a simple potted plant on the windowsill or a brisk walk around the block. Studies show that contact with greenery reduces stress and increases a sense of belonging. Try caring for an aromatic herb, such as rosemary, from the plant to the harvest. The fresh aroma, when rubbed between your fingers, triggers good memories and relaxes, in addition to bringing back that childhood taste of growing up in your grandparents' backyard. Now, for a practical application, how about preparing an aromatic sachet of chamomile and lavender to place under your pillow? Take a piece of cotton fabric, place a spoonful of dried chamomile flowers and a spoonful of dried lavender inside. Tie it tightly with a ribbon, and that's it. When you go to bed, the gentle scent will lull you to sleep, helping to dispel restless thoughts. Let's see how this changed Helena's life. Before, she would wake up several times a night, worrying about small things. After adopting the sachet ritual and conscious breathing, she began to sleep better. One morning, she noticed that she woke up to the sound of birds singing, feeling the light breeze and a spontaneous smile. It had been a long time since she felt so light. Even coffee seemed tastier. Of course, obstacles may arise: forgetting to practice, laziness on cold days, or doubts about the benefits. The secret is to start small and celebrate each achievement, like someone watering a sprout and seeing the first leaf appear. If anxiety persists, remember to seek help from a health professional. Remember what it was like to sit in the shade, listen to stories, and smell a freshly baked cake? This ancient wisdom shows that well-being is made up of simple and welcoming moments. The main advantages of these practices are clear: more tranquility, restful sleep, good memories, and more energy in your day-to-day life. And all at your fingertips. Share this video with anyone who needs a new breath of hope. Subscribe and turn on notifications to receive practical and welcoming tips. Accept this week's challenge. Create your own nighttime ritual with a tea or an aromatic sachet and write down how you felt. Soon, I will bring you more seeds for us to cultivate together. Now, take a deep breath and allow yourself to blossom. Your garden deserves this care.